Hello, everybody, and welcome to We Are Texans Wednesday, number 9. Joined today by a very special guest, Justin of Sportsneek. Thank you for coming on, Justin.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome. I am so pumped to be on the channel. As everyone can see, I'm in NHL mode right now. Toronto Maple Leafs are up 3-1 in the series. They're trying to win their first round since 2004, so it's been 18 long seasons since we've gotten out of the first round of the playoffs. And we have the Tampa Bay Lightning on the rope.
Yeah.
Now, I know we're not here for hockey, but going
Hey,
forward, we're going to have you on about some hockey stuff, Curtis. I got to test that knowledge and see if you actually are a Preds fan or not.
yes and no. I mean, more of a fair weather Preds fan. I'll admit that. But I do enjoy the sport. I enjoy the physicality of it all. Um,
Hey, that's what a lot of people say. And I think going backwards here, the same thing can be said for me as a Texans fan. So uh, we're in the same boat here. We're just crossing paths in different ways.
Crossing streams. Well, folks, this is Curtis Podcast Network. I'm the host, Curtis, and we're going to be talking nothing but Texans all podcast long. Let's get 10 likes on this episode. We're trying to hit that like goal. Yet to hit it yet on this particular podcast series. We also are in the hunt for 1,000 subscribers. We're sitting at 332 at this moment. So help us grow. Go ahead and check out Sportsneek. Hit their like and subscribe buttons on basically anything possible. And hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of their future content. These are pretty great dudes. They had me on in the middle of the season, and I made a complete ass of myself saying that the Texans were going to go 9-7-1.
Hey,
Yeah,
the content was great. It was one of our best videos of the season. So uh, had a lot of good laughs. I was hopeful at that point too, but hey,
yeah. I mean, I had some things that I did right, but yeah, you know. So we're gonna do a 7 round mock draft, and yeah, afterwards we're gonna figure out if there are any holes left to fill. Maybe there's a couple names in free agency that we could sign to maybe put a temporary fix on that. But let's get into it. All right, Bryce Young off the board for the Carolina Panthers. So here we are at pick 2, and there's obviously a lot of speculation about what the Texans are going to do. A lot of people say that the Texans could, in theory, have the entire draft in a vice grip with this decision. It changes the entire draft depending on how they do it. Do you have a favorite that you'd like to pick it to? Is there anybody that you're super high on?
well, for me, I think that they need to obviously address the elephant in the room. I don't quite think Davis Mills is the QB to A, build around, and B, take us any further than what he's done. It was great to get us first overall pick. You know, we tested him out for almost 2 seasons to see what we had in him. And I just don't quite think that the ceiling is much higher than where he's at now. So I do think QB is the choice. Within a draft that has a lot of great QBs, cornerbacks. Like I'm personally leaning towards, and this is, I don't know if this is gonna be totally off the board or not, but I'm going with Anthony Richardson. I think is my number one right now. Um, like the size, I love the rushing, scrambling abilities. Um, Great arm from the highlights I've seen, and then the ball placement too from just some of his tape that I've got to watch. I'm not, again, excuse my ignorance on college football, but did he play with Damian Pierce?
Yeah, I don't think he like actually touched the field when Pierce was there, but they were on the same team together.
Sure. So yeah, I know the other great option is CJ Stroud, and I think that's a lot of the speculation for the QB to go. Um, but I think I'm leaning towards Anthony Richardson. What are your thoughts around that for QB?
Well, here's my thing. I have a lot of friends that are Florida Gators fans. Some of them that live in the area. I've watched a lot of his tape. I've watched a lot of people be very critical of him. I've watched a lot of people be very give him a lot of praise for what he does. While he is an athletic freak, while he can throw the ball out of the stadium, and has done that on occasion, the Florida State film is probably the worst game by a quarterback I've seen in a while. He had multiple chances to win the game and threw the ball away on second, third, and fourth down, like into stands. Beyond that, he creates his own pressure. Some quarterbacks, they are pocket passers and they stay in pocket, and when something happens, the pocket breaks down, they move out. Sometimes Anthony Richardson has a tendency of rolling out when there is no pressure, and then he runs right into an edge rusher. I think there's some upside to him as well. I think Isaiah would probably kill me if I didn't say this, but we've talked about it, and he probably has the lowest floor and the highest ceiling of all of the quarterbacks in this class. The big drawback to taking him this early, and with the quarterbacks we have on the roster, who's going to mentor him? Because he can't come out and start day one. If he does, he's going to flop.
Is that being asked across every single QB option? Who's going to mentor him? Like, what if your option is CJ Stroud? Are you asking the same question? Who's going to mentor him? Because
No.
I just want to make sure that if we have young QBs, that the question's being asked across every option and not just singling out one single person because of a outlier event.
Well, that wasn't really the outlier. The A&M game is pretty atrocious. His best game was against Tennessee, my favorite team in college. But CJ Stroud, no, you wouldn't really need a mentor with him or Bryce Young. You would, and of course, Bryce is already off the board, but those two guys, they've demonstrated enough already and understanding of the game already to be able to start, and then you see what you got. Now, I don't necessarily. Go ahead.
Well, let's speculate here a little bit if we're going to be doing this. So, your question then is, who's going to mentor him? Well, we have an option with free agency here to pad on and keep Case Keenum as a third string quarterback and as like the depth backup QB, and either release Mills, trade Mills, do whatever with Mills, don't care. Let's say he's relevant at this point, and then sign someone else to bring in to mentor.
Yeah.
Maybe Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, but the person who's mentoring needs to be starting.
Sure. Are we like? Is the goal Texan? Like, do we realistically think they're going to make the playoffs next year?
No, but
that's my point.
I would imagine that if you take somebody at 2, no matter who it is, they have to start. Which is my problem with taking Anthony Richardson here, at least. Now, if you were to take Anthony Richardson at 12 or later, maybe not even 12, maybe later, then you don't necessarily have as much on the line. At number 2, you're drafting a player who can step onto the field immediately and make a difference. That's what that means when you're drafting this high.
I know that people like that and they're impatient for that, but like, I'm going to use my reference for hockey. 99% of the time, yes, when you're drafted 1-2 overall, you're on the ice the next season. However, it's becoming a little bit more commonplace that if they are not needed, you let them develop with, whether it's in the minors or with that mentorship like this, where they're getting sheltered minutes. They're not playing on that first, second line. They're playing on the third and fourth line. And I think that what Caserio is doing with the Texans, he doesn't necessarily need to follow these old school rules, unwritten rules, I should say, and ways of doing things. We can come in and do things with a new swagger.
Well,
and this could be one of those things.
Well, that's actually the old way of doing things. What you're referring to is the new way of doing things.
Well, great. Let's go back to the old way.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying is like the old way was to let him sit and to let him learn. That's what Aaron Rodgers did. And he sat behind Brett Favre for a couple seasons. And, you know, people said he had stuff to work on. Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith for a whole season. But those are guys who, like, they were drafted to teams that were in a good situation. You can't necessarily assume that Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, or Anthony Richardson are going to do really much of anything as a rookie beyond maybe winning 6 games. And you're hoping that that's the improvement, that you've made enough improvements on your team to give him something to look positive for in the future. But
Well, if that's the case, then, and it obviously, like if we look back at, I saw that this chart floating around Twitter of the last 6 or 7 years of the first QBs drafted, and majority of them were not very good yet,
yeah,
and probably won't be good. And if that's the way people are doing things, then why aren't we thinking about it from a different light and saying this obviously is not working? Every year there's the hype around these QBs that are the first ones taken for the most part.
yeah.
Let's try going back to what did work.
I would love that. I would love that, but that's just trending wise because of the way that the salary cap is set up now. Because back then, when you drafted players, like, what was it, like 2009 or something was the last year that the rookies got to negotiate their contracts. Now it's set in stone, and you basically want those players to play as soon as possible so that you have enough time to build around them while their contract is still cheap. So I mean, it's in a weird spot, and I would say that the CBA kind of backed the NFL into a corner with that one. But
Yeah, and this is, I guess, going a little bit slightly off topic, but if you're sitting 3 seasons and let's say you're sitting 1.5 seasons, and by mid-year 2 years a starter, year 3 of a great year. I mean, do you have some QBs will have the leverage to be like, I'm locking in the bag. I want $200 million, right?
right,
But I suspect a lot of them will not have, beyond the one season, enough bargaining power to say, I'm priced out of what you've built, right?
yeah.
I'm sure it'll happen, as it does in any sport. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't want them. I guess, like, at the end of the day, I just don't want them to fuck it up, right?
Absolutely, yes. I think we're at least on the same page with that.
I just don't want to I don't want them to pick something because of what other people are doing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I think Anthony Richardson will end up going early. But my quarterback 3, so if it's Bryce Young and then CJ Stroud, it's Hendon Hooker is 3. The ACL injury and the age are really his big drawbacks, because he's going to be 26 by the time the season starts. So, he's older than Davis Mills right now. And I just think that would be the way he plays. He only threw 5 interceptions over the last 2 years with like 70 touchdowns in Tennessee. So I know that's a homer thing and, whatever, but I think you could probably trade back from 12 maybe into the late first and pick him up and have the guy when he's ready. But that's just me. So let's just assume, because we're not trading back, let's just assume they're going quarterback.
Okay.
Best quarterback on the board. I'm going to let you pick this one. Make your pick.
Well, I'm going Richardson. I have to go with what I said.
Anthony Richardson off the board. CJ Stroud to the Colts. Dalton paid 11. That's interesting. All right, so now here we are back on the clock at 12. Christian Gonzalez, Kalijah Cansey, Nolan Smith. Got some really good names here. So we addressed the quarterback position. That leaves us with wide receiver, defensive line, edge rushers. We could probably take a corner. What position would you like to tackle next?
Let's go. Oh, let's go corner.
Okay. All right. So that Christian Gonzalez. Let's see what the board's got to say about him. See how old he is. He's not even 21 yet. 6'1", basically 200 pounds. Best year as a redshirt sophomore. Best game was against Buffalo, or the Colorado Buffalo. Sorry. Um, these grades are solid. Run defense, he's solid, well above average. That's this line in the middle is the average line. Below average on the completion percentage. These are the same thing for
Great
some
numbers.
Yeah, great numbers. 9 forced incompletions, 1 dropped interception, 3 missed tackles, 8 coverage stops. And you can even see where he lined up. How many times he lined up at slot, corner, how many times he's in the box. He allowed 3 touchdowns last season, had 4 interceptions, and allowed a passer rating of 74.7. So that would be quite the addition to the secondary.
I'm curious. My next option here would be Joey Porter.
Yeah, Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah, he's ranked quite low in this tool here compared to where I thought he would go.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of stuff with him going in the latter portions of the first round. Really good size on him, of course, just like his father. Best year was last season. Coverage grades not quite as good, not very good in run defense. Completion percentage well above the average line here. No touchdowns allowed, no interceptions though. Passer rating of 63.6. Best game was against Purdue.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Just looking at the top here, like some of these numbers. While I feel our last pick had more overall complete numbers, this guy's got some outliers that are like great.
Yeah.
Like there's some really strong numbers, especially when you look at like forced incompletions, touchdowns. Like
he can play a little bit of everywhere, predominantly an outside corner. I mean, he had a pretty solid season. So, I mean, I wouldn't be upset with Joey Porter Jr. But at 12, I think you got to go Christian Gonzalez. Because the man can fly, and those grades were ridiculous. You picked the last one, so I'm gonna pick Christian.
You take this one.
Yeah, I'm diving on that one. Christian Gonzalez is the pick. Now we need a wide receiver and a center. Edge rusher is still available. Defensive tackle, if we could find somebody we like. And there's some people on here. Richie Stromberg is somebody we might be able to find in the later rounds at center.
So I'm curious on your opinion of why the urgent need for a wide receiver in, say, at pick 12 or even pick 33. Because I feel like we got decent depth on reception right now. We got Woods, Collins, Brown, Michi. I know it'd be nice to have a little bit more depth and just kind of keep the draft picks coming and just keep developing young guys. But can we not take flyers? Round 3 we got 2 picks. Round 4 even.
Oh, absolutely. I wasn't saying necessarily we have to go right here with it. Although there are some pretty good.
That's where I'm asking your expertise. I'm curious on what your thoughts were on.
Well, look, Robert Woods had his worst season since before he became a Los Angeles Ram, and he's in his 30s. Nico Collins is yet to play a full season and is yet to crack over, 600 yards. So, it's kind of at this point. We're going into his 3rd year. It's not necessarily make or break. It's pretty well broken at this point. And from what I understand, there's not a lot of faith that he's going to be able to turn it around in year 3. So then really it's Mechie and Noah Brown. And Noah Brown's predominantly been a backup his entire career. Mechie has not played a down since the national championship game, the year he was in college, for the last year he's in college with Bama. So, I mean, there's a lot of question marks for me. We assume that Mechie will be back soon. We assume that Robert Woods will be completely healthy, and he started to look better for the Titans later in the season. But we don't know that. And we need somebody that we can build in the future. Mechie's going to be a slot dude, and Robert Woods and Nico Collins are the outside guys. And if you're not sold on Nico, and you know that Robert Woods is only going to be here for a short period of time, you got to build for the future at that spot and give, AR-15 or Stroud or whoever we end up taking something to grow and throw at. Because heck, I mean, technically we have the argument to make a pick at tight end because Dalton Schultz is only on a 1-year deal.
For sure, and that kind of that's kind of where I was. I'm not leaning towards tight end this early. I just don't know if it's there, but
yeah,
I just don't want to pick the sexier positions too early.
I hear that. Let's see.
I think first one we got to look at is, hopefully I'm not butchering his name, but Mozzie Smith.
Yeah, the defensive interior. Let's see what he's got. Best year was last season. That's solid. How old is he? He'll be 22 when the season starts. 6'3", 323. Not bad. Pass rush grade. That's pretty solid. Really good in run defense, so that would help. True pass net or pass set pass rush grade. Not bad. Pass rush win rate's really solid. Run stop win rate is through the roof. He's only had 2 sacks in his career. He played in 14 games both the last 2 seasons. Played more snaps this last year. 5 quarterback hits, 19 hurries, 0 batted passes as a junior, I guess. Plays a lot of the B gap, which we would use. Really good game against Ohio State and in.
I just see look at the growth coming back, going down. If that's by grades by game is going down game 1, 2, yeah. Like just continuous improvement coming down the stretch there.
Yeah, I mean, had to finish that whole season off with a banger, honestly.
Yeah.
All right.
And like we go back to what our other options are on the board there. Like, I don't know if we necessarily need Torrance.
Well, he's a guard center hybrid.
Okay. What does that mean in comparison to what we have for Titus Howard or Laramie Tunsil and Kenyon Green?
Well, Kenyon Green is a guard, and he's just a guard. Like he doesn't play center. Laramie Tunsil is a left tackle, and we pay him left tackle money. There's no way he's playing any other position. However, Osiris Torrance played both guard and center while he was in college. But guard gets more money, so he's listed as a guard. I'm not necessarily banging the table for this, but he's not a bad selection here. My favorite center in this draft is John Michael Smits out of Minnesota, or Richie Stromberg, which we could pick up later. But here, I don't mind the Mozzie Smith pick. We got another one here with Brian Brees, but I think we could probably pick him a little later. If we, in real life, if we wanted to trade back.
Mm-hmm.
Mozzie Smith's not a bad pick here.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning. Like, I feel like he gives us the best option to fill a gap we need where, like, the other thing we got to be cognizant of is, like, what can we fill in around free agency, trades,
right?
Internal depth, etc.
Right.
Where we kind of just hooped and we need to, like, redo the whole thing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot. I know. You roast me in the comments, but...
Edge-wise, there's really nothing crazy here yet.
Remember, we're also picking again in, like, 8 spots here.
No, we're not. This is
Are we
round
not?
2. We don't have another round 2.
Oh, yeah, round 2. Sorry, I was looking at round 3.
Yeah. We're picking a little bit. Cedric Tillman would be my wide receiver to get in third if he's available. He's a big body dude. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning Mozzie Smith. That might be the move here.
Lock it in.
Locking it in. Mozzie Smith is the selection.
Oh, there. Oh, I thought that was the other guy.
There goes Hooker
The
to
Clemson
Green
logo.
Bay. Hendon Hooker to Green Bay.
Well, that's fitting.
Yeah. Watch him be like just the best that's ever done it or something. I would be so mad. All right. Ah, damn it. The Eagles took Cedric Tillman. All right.
Just lost him.
I know. And they don't even need him. They've got all the receivers. Ugh, stupid PFF. All right. So now we've taken a defensive lineman. We've taken a quarterback. We've taken a corner. So edge rusher, a center, a wide receiver, and probably a linebacker. Probably a tight end.
Okay, so we got 2 picks pretty quick here. So let's evaluate our needs here. Pick whatever one we think is going to be taken first.
Yeah.
So you're saying edge and or wide receiver. I think we can be in agreement on one of those two could go first here.
Yeah, and I don't see a lot of edge people right here, so maybe we might be able to squeeze. See, all right. Marvin Mims, I've heard a lot of good things about this young man. I was actually just watching last night ESPN Radio's Cody Stutes in Houston covers the Texans. He was talking about Marvin Mims, and he showed this stat about how it's like average yards gained per catch in the last like 10 years for receivers. And it's 7 names, and all of the 7 names are like amazing players in the NFL today. And then Marvin Mims is number 2 on the list. So I would, that's kind of where I'm leaning.
Yeah, and I'm looking here just on our few of the other analysis and stuff, and they have Mims ranked pretty high actually compared to where he's available at right now. So, man, look at some of those games. 88, that's the first one I've seen in the dark blue here for any of these players quite yet.
Yeah.
A little bit of inconsistency, but it says that he suffered from some poor QB play this year. So,
yeah, Oklahoma didn't really have the dude back there. 13 deep catches, tied for 19th. Deep yards, 5th. I mean, he definitely stretches the field. He had 4 drops, but 6 touchdowns, 1,000 yards on 54 receptions. That is ridiculous. He literally averaged 20 yards a reception and 22 yards a reception the year before.
yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, I think we'd be ridiculous if we didn't take him.
Yeah.
All right, Marvin Mims, welcome to Houston. Okay. So here we are coming up, pick 73. All right, so we've addressed the wide receiver room, linebacker, edge rusher, corners, tight end. Any of those?
Well, let's see what we got for edge.
Okay.
Ooh.
Who jumped out at you?
There's a few here. What about we're at pick 73, hey?
Mm-hmm.
When's our next pick here?
104.
Okay. I think we got to do a comparison here between Isaiah McGuire and Derek Hall.
Okay. Derek Hall out of Auburn. He is a senior, 22 years old, 6'3", 254. He's number 87 on the PFF big board. Not so great in run defense. Pretty good against the, pass rush. Pretty solid pass rush win rate. Run stop rate is about average. He had 8 sacks last year, 10 the year before. 11 QB hits, 28 hurries, and no batted passes. Looks like he missed a single game. Had a pretty solid game against Mississippi State.
The only thing that scares me about this is I know Houston, I feel like they get eaten alive by the run, and that's been a big thing that teams have gotten all over them for, and I don't like to see that he's not that great when it comes to the run. Whereas, like, what now? Looking at Isaiah here,
Yeah,
a little bit younger, a little bit bigger.
Yeah. Oh shit! Clicked out of the wrong thing. It's all right. Run defense grade a lot better.
Those look like some great. Now, like, look at all those like consistent numbers, and the game's consistent.
Yep.
7 sacks.
Really solid game against Tennessee, Vandy, Kentucky, Auburn, Florida, Louisiana Tech. Yeah, pretty solid.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning with Isaiah in this one.
Okay. Just for education purposes, Byron Young ran a 4.4.
What's his numbers?
He's not very good in run defense, so it would actually he'd be a situational guy at least at the beginning.
Still on the board right now.
Yep.
All right, where are we going down to now? Pick 104.
Mm-hmm. Now there he goes to the Chiefs. It's all right. It's all right. Starting off in round 4. All right, so we have drafted an edge, a defensive tackle. We still need a center. Still need maybe a rotational tight end and a linebacker. So what position? Let's see. What kind of linebacker?
We got for center. We got who we got out here on the board here? Juice Scruggs. Love that name.
That is a nice name. Hold on. Is Stromberg gone? Ricky Stromberg. I'm just going to click on him. We're not taking him right now, but you're going to be like, yeah, this is the guy. Look at these grades.
Wow.
No sacks, no hits, 11 hurries this last season, and he got better every single year. And he's only 20 years old.
Jesus.
Yeah. So that's my pick for a center, but we don't have to take
him. He'll be available in round 5, maybe even round 6. Actually, round 6 for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, we got some flexibility there. Do you want to linebacker?
So what are we looking at here? What do we got for tight end?
Okay.
Brenton Strange looks like the only projected, but then we see Zach Kuntz here. That's average draft position quite high as well.
Yeah. Let's click on old Kuntz here. He had a little bit of a drop off after his freshman year, I guess.
Only 5 games. It's not good.
No.
Not ready yet.
Brenton Strange. He had a great game against Auburn.
Yeah, I think that's the highest we've seen.
Yeah. 1 drop, 7.3 yards a catch. That's not bad. 2 deep catches, 5 contested catches, 5 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. 6'4", 253. He's a redshirt junior, 22 years old. I'm okay with this if you are.
Yeah, hell yeah.
All right, Brenton Strange, coming to Houston. H-Town welcomes you.
Where's Bun B?
Yeah. All right. We got a little bit of a lull here. 39 teams before we pick again at 161. So we'll get
4 picks real close.
Oh yeah. So Stromberg is still available.
We might have to make the exception to do a trade if he gets taken.
Yeah. Juice Scruggs. Jake Hayner. A lot of people, he did really well on the cognition test. So he's climbing up people's boards. And at 161, we're on the clock again.
Let's get that center.
Ricky Stromberg. Welcome to Houston.
Steal of the draft right there.
For real. Next pick is 188. So we've attacked center, tight end, wide receiver, quarterback, defensive interior, edge rusher, corner. We could use a linebacker. And then honestly, after that, it's just for fun. Oh, snap. Stet the jet. Okay. So let's pull up our linebackers.
Clayton Tune.
Yeah. All right. Linebackers here. Ventrell Miller out of Florida. Let's click some of these dudes. Not bad in run defense. He's not very good in coverage.
Look at the tackles.
Yeah.
5 to 64.
Well, he only played 2 games.
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
Look at the start of the year for him. Look at those
Yeah, I
games.
know.
And then just kind of fell off a cliff.
Yeah, for real. Well, most of Florida, that team fell off a cliff. Allowed 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 20 receptions on 27 targets. Not the best in coverage. Let's see how old he is. 24.
Oof.
Cam Jones. Really solid season last year. Great in run defense. Phenomenal in run defense. He only played in 5 games, though. So maybe he's coming back from an injury.
Don't mind it. When he's playing, he looks good.
Yeah.
Well, last season. Look at the improvement.
Yeah. He's definitely an interesting one. Let's see. Charlie Thomas out of Georgia Tech. Tied for 4th in coverage stops. One hell of a game against Pitt. Run defense not so great. He's a decent pass rusher. Really solid in coverage.
The numbers remind me of someone who's, he's showing signs of being great, right? Just a lot of inconsistency, but I mean, you're going to get that with a lot of these young guys.
Especially as late as we are in the draft.
Yeah.
Over 100 tackles. He missed 15, even still. Played in all 12 games both the last 2 years. That's a good sign. More snaps this last year. How old is he? 23. It's not the worst. We'll come back to him. I like some of that. 6'4", 222 senior. He'll be 22. Let's see. Coverage grade is abysmal.
Oh, man. Not a lot of tackles.
No. But he played in all 12 games every year he was eligible to play. Which
healthy.
is good. Yeah. Which is an improvement for some of our linebackers. But, yeah, I mean, the passer rating allowed is pretty gross. I'm not opposed to that Georgia Tech guy.
No. I think he's going to be I think you got to hone in on some of these, upsides here at this point, and you're just nurturing and hoping they come into something, right?
Yep. That's the name of the game at this point. Round 6. 201 is the next pick. And this is basically for fun at this point. I mean,
Did we pick a safety yet?
we have not. Let's see what safeties we've got.
Not a lot.
Nope. We could get a homer.
See the numbers. Run the numbers.
Run the numbers. Had a much improved last season. Not terrible.
Worse numbers today.
Yeah. Forced incompletion rate. I mean, he's not terrible. He's a little old. He's significantly younger. Rashad Torrance Jr. He did improve every year. Had a banger of a game against South Carolina down here.
Oh, yeah.
Coverage grade's not terrible. Run defense grade is not terrible. Misses some tackles. Forced incompletions about mid. Pretty good average depth of run tackle. Played 12 and 13 games the last couple years. I mean, that coupled with how young he is, he's sitting behind Jimmy Ward for a little bit. It may not be that bad.
Let's check the other guy right in front of him. I think there's one more here. Chamari
Connor from Virginia Tech. Basically the same player all 3 seasons. Missed a game his first and his last year. Tackles are all right. Run defense is significantly lower than the last guy. Missed tackle rate's a little lower.
I think you take the flyer on the other safety here.
Which one?
Next guy here. Rashad Torrance II.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. We're gonna
Just
run
drop at this point.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, we've already hit all the needs, so I mean, this would be trading territory. Okay. And then I guess we could probably go wide receiver again. Or
Yeah, we're just going offense here.
let's do it.
We have 3 picks left.
Jesus. There's no way Nick is not going to be using some of these as trade fodder. Okay, Justin Shorter of Florida.
And some great games.
Yeah, he did. 6'4", 230, 23 years old. Really solid against Tennessee. Let's see, 29 receptions, 577, 2 touchdowns. He only played 9 games this year, but that doesn't look to be a trend. Good receiving grade, no drops. 78th in deep yards, 9 deep catches. 6 contested. Average depth of target, 12th. That's not shabby. That's not too shabby. How would you feel about bringing in a Justin?
Love it.
All right. I mean,
Future Hall of Famer with that name.
He's got a drop rate of 0. I'll take it.
And then there were 2.
Oh, man. Where do we go with this next 2? That's the question.
Wide receiver again.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we'd go
QB?
corner. Or... Oh, you want to go full Washington and draft another quarterback?
Hey, you never know. Tom Brady was in 7th, wasn't he?
It's true. For giggles, let's see who's here. Max Duggan. And this is literally the end of the quarterbacks. This guy doesn't even have a team? He's just going to show up? Interesting. We got another pick. We'll figure out something. You know what?
Letting you take the reins on this one.
All right. Let's start with here. Cameron Brown. Basically the exact same rating for all of these.
Love that.
Not very good at run defense. Yep. Very consistent from last year to this year. He played 3 less games. He allowed 3 touchdowns, though. And passer rating is 120.4. That's not very good. Next. South Alabama wide receiver. Kind of had a down year compared to his year prior.
Daryl Luter.
Well, that is a solid name. 33 receptions, 491, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. 0 dropped interceptions, 10 forced incompletions, 3 missed tackles. I mean, it's not the worst. See how old he is. 23, of course. Christian Braswell. He doesn't even age. What is that? What kind of name is that? How am I supposed to? What it?
Lassie.
Khalif.
I don't think it's. I think it's just Lef.
Khalif. Hey Lassie.
Hi Lassie.
All right, Carrington Valentine.
Love that name too. We got some great names at this bottom of the draft here.
Oh yes,
these guys are contenders for first overall pick in the what's the best draft name.
That's true. He dropped 3 interceptions. He caught 1. 33 receptions, 502 yards, 4 touchdowns with a passer rating of 94.5. Mostly plays outside. 8 missed tackles. Best game was against Mississippi State. Tied for 52nd in coverage stops. And he's 21.
It's been the best of what's available so far.
Yeah. Let's go with it. And then with this last one, let's try to find Brock Purdy, round 2. Part 2. Because I'm pretty sure we actually have Mr. Irrelevant in this draft. Okay.
Final pick. It's been a long draft day.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure at this point, Casario will be lighting up a stogie. Calling a celebration. All right, Mr. Irrelevant, and we're going to look at QBs here. Jaron Hall out of BYU. Mr. I Don't Have a School, Tyson Bagent, and then Max Duggan, who would be a homer pick. Had his best year last season.
Look at all that blue.
Uh-huh. Didn't really have a good game against Georgia, but, you know, most people don't. Most people don't. 22, 6'1", 207. Let's get it. Max Duggan, our Mr. Irrelevant. And now we're going to get our draft grade. See how that goes.
Roast us. I know it's going to be bad.
We're going to find out.
Just kidding. We're getting like an A.
Hey, first 3, really good. Marvin Mims, they like that one a little bit. Not as big of fans of the 3rd and 4th round right here. Or
would you look at that? When our knowledge goes down, the grade goes down.
Well, you know, Duggan.
Overall B. You know what? I would take that.
Yeah. Oof. That's not bad. I mean, and we literally drafted for positions of need and depth. I wouldn't be upset at this.
What's the highest you've gotten for one of these so far for your grade?
I think the Titans one was an A, and the Colts one was an A minus.
Mm. So we're
Well, we're screwed because we have a lot more picks than they do, and we have a lot more chance to mess that up.
yeah,
And it's also grading it based on what they are valued in the system versus where we took them. Yeah,
yeah, makes sense.
yeah. So that was the PFF mock draft for the Houston Texans 2023. Now we're done with that. So now, if needed, we could get free agents. Do you who would you get free agent wise?
Okay, so a few positions looking at the depth chart. I'm kind of there's not a whole lot of that I can point out immediate needs on the front end of other than the gaping QB, which we've just addressed in the draft. So I'm just kind of been I'm doing depth signings here. We're going for guys who can just round out the lineup, provide a little bit of experience, take as many snaps as they can, and let the young guys, much like our hypothesis at the start, let the young guys kind of ease their way in here. So let's just start at positions. I'm going wide receiver here. I'm anticipating that we have Woods, Collins, Brown consistently throughout the year, no injuries, and going for a little bit of more depth here with T.Y. Hilton. Cheap deal, hopefully.
Yeah.
Just someone who's got that experience. They've been in the big moments before, and they can teach the young guys a few things and then play some snaps. Much like the man we shall not name from last year that they played every time, Rex Burkhead.
Why? I was almost I was glad that they didn't, but I was almost surprised that they didn't try to re-sign him.
Well, that brings me over to running back, Rex Burkhead.
yeah, he's coming back.
Well, let's assume that he's not coming back, and let's go for someone who's got some experience but a little bit of upside, because there's a lot of experienced running backs available, but the price tag, fairly high. I'm confident in Pierce. I'm confident in Singletary as a 1-2. So if we want to take a little bit of a riskier approach, why not trying to sign Benny Snell? Got him with Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
He could be a good third option there. Let Singletary rest a little bit more if he needs to. Get this guy some reps and see what his true potential is. I mean, I know he got some games in Pittsburgh, but he's still young.
He is. I think he'd be very similar to what Pierce and Singletary bring to the table. So I imagine if they're going to bring somebody in, it's going to be somebody who's slightly out of that mold. Maybe more, somebody who can catch better. Not a doctor. Go ahead.
Fair enough. Going into our fullback position, local legend, brother, Derek Watt.
Oh, interesting. Bring more Watts into the house. I like it.
Yeah. So another great pick, hopefully. I think you could sign him for a reasonable amount. Not sure how he fits into Houston's playbook and play style, to be honest, but the idea intrigues me. Moving on to I kind of alluded to this earlier and mentioned it, but if we get a QB who is not ready and they do want to shelter him and say perfect world Mills is either gone or just completely removed from the depth chart here, or he's fighting with Case Keenum, and we sign a QB, I'm thinking someone, Teddy Bridgewater 1-year deal,
Yeah.
Carson Wentz, someone in there just to play half the games.
Yeah.
Whisper sweet nothings.
Hold the clipboard and give advice. That'd be nice.
I know that one's like a little bit more extreme. A lot of things have to happen for them to sign someone like that, in my opinion. But we're assuming here. And then the last position that I could point out, a defensive end here. So there's two options I was thinking of: Frank Clark, maybe from KC, or a reunion, Jadeveon Clowney.
Interesting.
Don't know how it works with the salary cap.
Well, Clowney would be interesting considering at this stage he's definitely more of a run stopper. And it's really been his MO his entire career, is stopping the run. That would be interesting. Jadeveon Clowney as a reunion tour. Wonder if they give him 90. I don't know.
But intrigue me. What are you thinking for free agents here?
Well, I think we brought in quite a few veteran linebackers to kind of supplement as well as give Christian Harris the tools and people around him to teach him new things. Mainly to get better in run stopping. That's why I think Denzel Perryman was brought in. But I mean, I feel like we've got the defense outside of the edge rushing positions got a veteran in it in basically every room. So I think you're pretty solid there. I really don't think there's anything that we haven't already covered at this point. So I mean, that was pretty comprehensive.
Love it. I'll take it.
All right. Well, Justin, I think we're coming to the end here. I want to thank you for coming on and thank you for your time and your energy and general presence. You're a good time to be around.
Thank you for having me. It's much appreciated. I hope it was somewhat informative for me trying to teach you something about football, which I don't think can be done. If you need some education around Canadian football, I will be more than happy to teach you. Just forget the fourth down and you're almost there.
Yeah. Do you guys get the running start?
What do you mean?
Doesn't one player have the ability to run to the line?
I have no idea.
No idea. Interesting. 12 players in Canadian football?
Yeah. 11. No, 12. I'm trying to think what the extra man was when the Riders lost the Grey Cup. 12th man. I think it's 11.
Okay. All right. Well, folks, go check out Sportsneek, the YouTube channel. Justin and his cohort, whose name escapes me. What's his name? Terrence. Justin and Terrence do really good stuff. They're going to be gearing up for the season just like we are. Go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Go subscribe to them. They're good people. They got good content. Thank you all for watching and be good people.